What's going on, folks? Hope you're having a wonderful night or day. Today I wanted to talk about a game that I've been playing for the past week now called Wartales. Wartales is a turn-based open-world RPG being developed by Shiro Games, and this game has been a breath of fresh air as far as strategy RPGs go. I've seen it be described as another version of a game called Battle Brothers. I like to think of it as Mountain Blade meets XCOM. It first starts you off with the ability to choose your starting setup. You can choose your party layout and the bonuses they get. Then it drops you into the middle of a field and you immediately get vibes of Mountain Blade mixed with an RPG. One thing I really like, even though I think this is small, is that we have reoccurring missions and enemy parties that we can engage with. This makes for a lot of replayability, and for example, I started my difficulty on the very hardest settings when I was learning the mechanics, and even though each zone is said to be around 15 hours of content and there's 3 zones, I peaked at 45 hours in my first campaign before I wussied out and decided I needed to start a new one on normal difficulty. And I had just barely completed the first zone by that time. To talk about the gist of Wartales, you basically go around with your party or your band of mercenaries, and you are able to either be a scourge on the countryside, like target refugees and attack them, take their goods and things like that, or you can kind of be sort of a Robin Hood who defends the refugees and takes from the rich, gives to the poor, that kind of thing. You can attack the guardsmen that patrol the lands themselves. You can become wanted, which is what my party is currently. And as you can see, there's a patrol of guards that are coming down the road here. So if I wanted to, I could try to attack them. But of course I'm not going to, because guards can be pretty powerful. And there is a level scaling system that does apply in this game. So as you get stronger, your enemies will get stronger. And as you get more party members, your enemies will also get more party members all the same. Now, on the hardest difficulty, this is something you have to be aware of unless you want to end up just like me and get scaled up to the point where you can hardly deal with just about any fight that you come across. It's just going to be an absolute nightmare. And since it works where the more people you get in your party, the more people that your enemies will have. If you don't have a powerful party by a certain point and you're on the hardest difficulty, then you must start running into some real trouble. Now, there's also a camping system at the top here. When you're moving around, you'll generate what's called fatigue. Firstly, this will start off as like an energy bar. It'll be a little bit lighter in the color than this, but to rest up, to get rid of that fatigue, you have to go into your camp menu. So I did that by pressing C. If you try to move around on the map while you're fatigued, it's just going to do this. You're going to go really slow. And I am also hidden from that guard party. They normally would be able to see me if I was out and about in the open world, but because I'm in the forest, I'm kind of hidden from sight. There are other roaming enemy parties that do roam the forest as well. There's animals that you can hunt, like boars and wolves. You are actually able to capture animals and make them join your party. As far as a max party size for you, as far as I've seen, it seems like it can go above 10 or around 10 for your maximum party size. So like I have about 8 people total right now. Well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 total, but I guess it counts my horses, my ponies as well. So 9 technically. But I also have prisoners here. And this is a really cool mechanic that you can utilize, and I highly recommend doing this early on because you can earn a lot of money. But when you're in the middle of a battle and you have an enemy at low HP, and then as long as that enemy unit is engaged with another one of your characters, like let's say your tank is fighting somebody who's low HP, you can send your ranger in to go behind that enemy unit, and then you'll have a pop-up on your bottom bar that allows you to capture them, but you need what's called chains. You can buy these at the local jail. So when you first start off, you'll probably end up around this town over here. You can't necessarily see it right now because that icon's blocking it from my quest line, but the jail should be just east of that across the lake. So you go to the jail and you'll probably see other jails in other zones too, but you'll be able to talk to a person sitting at a desk that can sell you chains. They can also buy prisoners from you, and this is the way that I was talking about that can make you a lot of money. However, you need to make sure that they're outlaws. So you'll notice them when you see them. They'll have a lock icon above their parties, or you'll just be able to hunt them based off of the contracts that you accept. So you can accept bandit contracts and you'll know at least that they're going to be outlaws. You can capture them, take them to the prison, and then you can sell them for like 100 crowns a pop, which is very, very good because early on your wages, they're going to be like the wages you have to pay your party, because that is a thing as well, are going to be around 50 to 100 crowns. So getting 100 every time you sell one of those prisoners is going to be very lucrative. Now, these ones I have currently in my party, they're actually not outlaws. These are guys that were guarding a merchant caravan that I came across and took down to rob and take these guys prisoner. Now, right now, there's no way to sell these guys. I think once I get access to the black market officially, I might be able to, because there are different paths that you can go down. So for me, since I'm playing a bandit playthrough, I've been doing a lot of crime related activity. So I should have access to the black market, or should be getting access to it very soon, wherever that's going to be, but I haven't found that just yet. And then if you want to specialize in being a trader, so you can actually go from town to town buying trade goods and selling them for more money at the next one. You can definitely do things like that. You can just focus on hunting, like you can go to certain places that have a lot more animals, or even elite animal parties that you'll come across to take down, and then you can sell their teeth for special bonuses. You can go to these like hunter camps and they'll trade you recipes and things like that for teeth. And then if you want to be a full-fledged mercenary, you can just do that as well. But there's also another aspect to this called mysteries and wisdom, and this has to do with the research. So there is an actual technology tree that you come across in this game. Now, for me, I'm still relatively early on in this playthrough, so I haven't researched a whole lot yet. But this technology tree will allow you to research a whole lot of different benefits, such as allowing your party to run while you're on the main map. You can also unlock ones that will reduce the amount of food that they require per day, the amount of wages that they need to be paid. You can also do other ones that increase the amount of contracts you can have, research a little bit into poison mastery, bleeding mastery, if you have a party setup that focuses on that as well. You can even spec into cannibalism, because after every fight, you'll get what's called carcasses. Normally, if you click like the loot all button, it will avoid getting the carcasses. But if you're fighting animals, then it will loot those by default, since, you know, you can eat those and that'll be just fine. But it could help you with saving a lot of your food. So I don't know. It's up to you if you want to try that. But if you go past this option here, there's actually other professions that you can come across and discover as well. So each of your party members is capable of having a profession. So this person right here, Ivar, name him after Ivar the Boneless, is one of my rogues, and he is a cutthroat who specializes in alchemy. So his dexterity is boosted up by 1 point based off of that. And like cooking, for example, is a really good profession. It allows you to get 2 constitution and also cook a lot of really good meals that will allow you to get more food bonuses off of them, and maybe even troop buffs that last until the next rest. And for example, Wanda here is my cook. She gets 2 constitution based off of this, and she can cook inside my camp. And then also each of these individual units or people will have their own specialization. So she's a sentinel, but she started out as just an axeman. When you're going through these different towns and jails and things like that, you can find people to recruit. So if you're going to a town, you can go to the tavern and recruit them from there. You can inspect them before you recruit them too, and make sure that they have the proper stats and stuff that you're looking for. Of course, they'll level up and you can specialize them further as they level up. So there's a lot to this game, and we're going to talk more about the system in a bit. Back to the profession. So there is a technology tree for this. Highly recommend unlocking some of this early on. I went for the iron 2-handed mace because I started with the DPS 2-handed mace man. So this is going to benefit him the most, and it has been benefiting him the most so far. And I also went for the reinforced battle plate because I wanted to get 2 tanks up as soon as possible, which I did do. So Lagertha is one of my tanks, as well as Wanda. So both of them have this reinforced battle plate that I was able to craft, and it's very easy to craft too. All you need is 12 pieces of iron ore. And as you explore the first zone and find the different various mines, you'll notice that iron ore can be pretty easy to come by, and you can also buy it, potentially steal it, that kind of thing. And what's really interesting is, so there are gathering professions too, like fishing, mining, thievery, that sort of thing. When it comes to mining, the resource nodes actually respawn every couple of days or so from what I've been seeing so far. So you can actually, if you find a mine that has like 2 nodes of iron in it, you can come back in a little while and actually get those again. So I highly recommend looking into these technology trees. And for cooking early on, I recommend going for the grilled pork. You'll find that that's pretty easy to come across, since you just have to go for the boars. And then sometimes you'll also get recipes that you can use to unlock new things. So for this one, I have mutton stew. I just have to unlock the required level, the apprentice level of cook for it first. But once I do that, I should be able to learn this one, and that's going to be super helpful for me. So as the characters keep doing the professions, they're going to level up and get new bonuses. There's also different items that you can equip that will also help with this. For example, there's going to be a fishing quest that you can do. Not necessarily a fishing quest, it's just more you go to a fishery and this guy requests your help to get some refugees off of his land. And if you actually help him, he'll give you a trinket that'll give you a chance of getting double fish whenever you do the process. And the main thing I wanted to talk about here is you can actually set your prisoners. So if, let's say you have a prisoner like this that you can't really do anything with at the moment, you can't sell to the jail because they're not an outlaw, you can actually set a profession for them through this menu right here. You just click on this and you can set them through whatever you want to. Or when you actually go to the menu for using the profession, like let's say I want to look at this cooking pot, you can choose one of these prisoners right here. They'll be showing up here, and then make them become your cook instead. So this can be pretty beneficial because sometimes your party will get damaged, like they'll get illnesses and their armor will break during battle. So sometimes they'll get illnesses that prevent them from doing their profession tasks. But that's another system on its own that you'll learn about as the game goes on. The one thing I do recommend though is when you get to the blacksmith, or when you get a chance to, always try to bring some repair parts with you, so raw materials. This will allow you to repair your troops' gear while you're out and about in the world. And then there's a lot of other systems that I could go into right now, but I want to focus a little bit more on the combat system for the rest of this review. So just to show you how this works, so if you want to rest your party for the day, you can go ahead and right click on your campfire, and this is where you can choose how much food that you want them to eat for the day. So if I give them a cold beer, then it will give them a little bit more happiness until the next rest. So I'll go ahead and do that. They can eat this bread. I'm going to save the pork because I want to cook that. Once I get the recipe, I should be able to do just that. So I'll add some eel. This is some of the fish that I was able to catch for them today. We did hunt some wolves earlier, so I'll do that too. Now this danger level is going to be a thing where we have a 30% chance of being attacked while we're resting. Let's say we come across, or let's say someone comes across us, like a guard group. They're going to attack us and we'll have to defend ourselves, or, you know, retreat from the battle sort of thing. But you want to make sure that you always pay your wages, so that part's pretty important as well. And after that, you can just go ahead and rest. And there we go. The troop is well rested. So I want to talk about the combat system of the game because it is one that is very addicting, I will say. On the hardest difficulty, like I said, it's going to be extremely challenging, but it's something that I think that you'll be able to master as time goes on, but I would highly recommend using a normal difficulty first. So the way the combat works, and let's go ahead and jump right in here. We jump right into the fight, and then it kind of turns into XCOM, like I was talking about. So the preparation phase is the first part, so you can choose exactly where you want your party members to be before the fight starts. And then it's very important that you realize that you don't want to make any moves until you know exactly where your companions are going to be, because the moment you make the first move, that's when the whole battle starts and you're no longer able to rotate them around like that. So just be wary of that. But as we progress through the battle, you'll start to see a little bit more of how this works. So let me just quickly make sure I have everybody in position. So I have a poacher here, hoodlum here, marauder here, okay? And I have poacher here, hoodlum here, marauder here. And then also each of your people will have turns, but it doesn't work in a traditional way. So instead of it being a set person getting a set turn, like let's say Lagertha is supposed to go first, I can actually choose which one of them goes first, second, third, fourth, that sort of thing. So basically you choose who goes first, you choose the actual lineup yourself. And this is another aspect of the strategy that you have to utilize to make sure that you're benefiting yourself the most in combat to make sure you get the win. So for me, what I'll do, since you can hover over the enemies and see exactly which one's going first, these two are going to be going first on this side. So I can go ahead and get my tank set up over here. So I'll get her right here. And there's also environmental aspects to this. So there's bear traps and there's also spears that you'll come across. And if you walk over the spear, you can actually get a new skill that pops up down here, and it allows you to do a spear toss. So if you're in the middle of combat, you might be able to get a little bit of extra damage on the enemy by using just that. So for me, what I'll do, and each of these party members, as they level up, or just based off of what class they are, they'll have different abilities that you can utilize either for your benefit or the enemy's downfall. So I do have a couple different buffs that I can utilize on Lagertha. So what I'll do here is I can go ahead and move a little bit this way. And then what I can do is I can activate encouragement. So this allows me to give all allies in the vicinity protection, including her. So I'll go ahead and do that really quick. And then I can also use galvanized troops. So this is something you can utilize when you make one of your characters into a captain. So as you progress, you'll see this pop up in the character menu as you're looking through your different characters, but you can actually promote them, and you'll see lieutenants after you get a captain and you get a little bit farther in the game. But this is the one that you get for the captain. And it gives you an extra valor point, which you can use for casting different abilities and things like that. So I'll go ahead and move her into position now that I've restored that. And I'm going to go ahead and since I know, so sometimes you'll have a character that is capable of taunting, but she doesn't have that ability. My last tank on my other playthrough does, but because she doesn't, I'm going to go ahead and pop defensive stance. This is one that I can make her learn because I know that she's going to be getting attacked before these other guys have the chance to. So now that I've dealt with that and she can hold them for a little bit, I don't have to worry about that side. I can focus on these three here. So I actually have quite the powerhouse on this side. I think we should be able to more than deal with them there. So I'm going to go ahead and put Duke on this side. Where was that bear trap? Right there? Okay. So he's going to help here. So I'm going to charge him. I want to charge him through this unit and reach that archer right there. So I have a charge ability that I can use, but I just need to get a little bit closer just to make sure I'm in the correct range here. Just saw it. There we go. All right, so there's an ability there that you just saw. Now, what happens when you attack a unit? So my character specializes in AoE, but he's still able to engage with the target. Now, if I had used Slice on Lagartha on this unit here, it would do what's called engaging. And to engage when you have an AoE unit, you have to aim the center of the reticle on the unit, and that way when you hit them, it should pop up with the engage. So what this does is the opponent has a 10% chance of taking critical hits from other units. So just like I said, like 20% from behind, so it's like XCOM. So if you were to get another unit right behind them, then you can initiate critical hits more often. And then if I were to surround them, so I had one here and then one on their top, then they would get a surrounded debuff that would also allow them to take more damage, if I remember correctly. There's also different status effects that you'll see throughout the game, like poison, burning effects that you can utilize, all kinds of stuff. So the next thing I'll want to do here is I'm going to use Taurus. He's usually another character that I really like using for his AoE, for his initiation. So he has a whirlwind ability here, cutting Maelstrom. And Taurus is actually a companion you can get for free. Early on in the first region, if you were to go all the way to the eastern side, so you go northeast to the basically border, you'll see a farm that you can go into, and this farm will have Taurus's wife there, and she'll ask you to take care of him. So you have the option of either killing him because he's infected with the plague at the time, or taking him under your wing. It's relatively easy to cure the plague. There's a potion that sells at the apothecary in towns for like 47 crowns, and then you can just use that on him to cure him of the disease. But I actually had the plague debuff on him for a while because all it does is it requires him to eat meat. And if he does get to a point where he's super hungry, then he's going to go mad. But as long as you keep your crew fed, you don't have to worry about that too often at all. So let's go ahead and initiate here. Okay. And then see, that did not initiate because I wasn't close enough to the enemy. So if I was a step closer, that would have actually engaged the enemy like I had shown before. But what I can do is I can move a step here. And then I do have taunt on this character. So this is one of the characters that does have taunt, and I can use that on him to engage. So now that you've seen the basics, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the fight just to show you what it looks like towards the end. Okay, so this battle isn't lasting very long, it looks like. So we're starting to approach the end of the fight here. So what we're doing now is we're just making sure that we focus on knocking out these enemies instead of killing all of them. Like I said, it's going to be worth a lot of money to make sure that they all get home, or they all get to the jail as opposed to home, as safely as possible. So let's see if we're able to take out maybe at least one more. So I've already knocked out one, and now I'm just working my way. Let's see here. Sometimes you'll be able to get passives for your allies as well. Like if I stand next to a other ally that's not engaged with the target, then I should be able to, or if I'm not engaged in combat, I'm sorry, I should be able to get a valor point for that, so I can use abilities. So I'm going to do just that, and then now that they've used their turn, what I'm doing here is I'm keeping this Marauder, because the Marauders and the two-handers are the ones that are a little bit more dangerous. Sometimes they can apply bleeds to you and just do a whole lot of AoE damage like that other one did in general. So I have a skill here that I can use on my Spearmen, and you are able to rename your companions, by the way. What this does is it targets an area, and it performs an attack of opportunity when they try to move. What's special about this one is that I can do it from a distance, so the Marauder can't hit Dawn while she's casting this. And then also, if he gets a hit off, or she gets a hit off, then he's going to stop. So basically, she's locking him down and preventing him from moving at all. That's what I want to do until he's low enough to where I can go in and finish him off. So that's why we're doing that at the moment. And then on this side of things, I'm just focusing these two down to see if I can get them captured. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this Marauder around here. Make sure he attacks me. Okay. So that prevents myself, Duke, from getting attacked. And then even though he's gonna get attacked by this hoodlum, I should be able to go in from behind now and take care of him from there. So let's go ahead and bring Taurus over here. And this is the icon that's gonna pop up when you're able to knock them out, but it does require chains. So we're gonna wanna knock him out here. And don't worry about that percentage that shows up. Normally it always does it successfully, so don't worry about that at all. And then I'm gonna go ahead and turn this guy around. Actually, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna get on this side because Ivar can come in. Ivar should be very close. There he is, and he can finish him off from here. Make sure you also don't hit your other teammates because there is friendly fire, so you can never be too careful on that side of things. And then this Marauder that I talked about, he's gonna try to move, and he's gonna get stopped in his tracks. That's why we're utilizing that, and I might not even want to take this one hostage. I might not have enough chains, to be honest with you, but I just want to make sure I keep him locked down so that I don't have to worry about him getting a sneak attack and doing a lot of DPS to my guys. Because the main thing to keep in mind as well is that whenever your battle ends, any damage that they do to your character or your armor, it stays with you. So like if they get you really low in terms of the health part, okay, I don't have enough chains, then you're not going to go down, you're not going to stay at that number of health, but you will get what's called the illnesses. So you might get like a cleft foot that reduces the amount of movement speed that you have in combat. You might get a strength and dexterity reduce, which is going to really put a hamper on your damage. Or you might get your constitution fully cut in half. You don't know what's going to happen there, so that's why you want to make sure you try to end the battle with as much HP as possible on your characters and try to keep your armor from going all the way down. So since we didn't get anybody super low on our side, we don't have to worry about using medicine on them, but we do have to use raw materials for repairs. Let's go ahead and do that now. And this is the loot we get as a result. So for the storylines of the characters, and we do see that we leveled up here too, you can actually go about doing things in different ways. You don't always have to resort to violence. There's other ways to do it, like diplomacy wise. And what you do, especially in the scenarios, which is up here, it really affects how you progress through the game and what happens later on. So the scenarios is basically, these are special quests that'll pop up on the map as you go along. And like this purple one, for example, as you do these, you can decide which route you want to go, because a lot of times there's multiple arcs, and then this fills up this bar every time you do it by about 20 points. And once you get to 100, you should be able to go to the next zone. So the next zone after this that I'd want to go to would be Gothenburg. It's the zone that I got to before I stopped playing my hard mode playthrough on the last time. You can do that to get to a new area to explore that, or you can keep farming in the current area that you are. It's all up to you, and the contracts will repeatedly spawn, so you can keep earning money and taking people hostage, whatever you want to do there. But just keep in mind that there is level scaling, like I said, and there is difficulty scaling. So no matter what you do, the world is going to also evolve around you. But for the character side of things, just to briefly talk about this, so they of course have their own attributes, they have their own traits that they are capable of having. So this one earns more profession experience for like mining, for example. And when you level them up, you do get access to different abilities and passives that you can give to them. So this one is counterattack. Each time the unit engages, they get riposte, which allows you to do a counterattack every time you get hit. So that's pretty interesting. That's a really nice ability to have there. And then on this side for the attributes, so whenever you level up, you could choose passives and skills if you're at that level, or attributes. And what you want to look at here is these two pluses. This means that if I level up this skill as opposed to one of these, I'll get a bonus. So for willpower, I'll probably just get, like next point +1, but for movement, I'll get +2. So this can pop up randomly on any of these. So sometimes for a tanking, for example, you'll see Constitution plus plus, and you'll want to get that. Your DPS character, Strength character might be Strength plus plus. Ranger might have Dexterity plus plus or Critical Hit plus plus. So you just want to level that up accordingly. And the movement, that'll help a lot in battle, because the more tiles that we can move, get into a point of initiating the fight faster. And Ivar also has 2 pluses on movement as well, so I'll go ahead and do that. But that's the overall gist of the game, and for the review itself, I really like this game. I think it's super addicting. It's got a lot of potential too. It's only in early access, so there's a long way to go, but already it feels like it's got a really strong head on its shoulders. As I said, I love the Mountain Blade aspects. The research side of the game, I'm really looking forward to researching more technology, and there's even something called a lectern that lets you piece together artifacts that you'll come across later in the Tomb of the Ancients, which is something that seems like a dungeon to me, but I haven't encountered one yet. But there's all kinds of different objectives and playstyles and encounters that you'll find in this game. Highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of CRPGs or any kind of RPG like this. But with that, that's all I got for today, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.